I watched a video just a short while ago, and it took me a little while to realize that it was in fact an AI video, and I feel a little bit I feel a bit icky, to be honest. I'm sure this is not the last time that this is going to happen. I feel like we're kind of on the cusp of the next level of kind of upgrade with all of this technology and what's possible. And we're already in this kind of age of distrust. So it's it stands to reason that it is likely that I'm going to encounter this again. But now I know kind of what to look for, and also it's made me reflect on that sense of when you are engaging with content or material or doing research and you're using platforms where there is like a huge database and such a large amount of information out there, not only the discernment piece, which I think I'm pretty good on that front, but it's about having full attention. Part of the reason that it took me a while to actually click on to this was because I was kind of making my lunch and I was looking for something kind of stimulating, something educational, that kind of was delivering me like bite-sized bits of information that I could kind of process at the same time as cooking and sitting down to eat something. So it wasn't the same kind of focus as actually, sitting down at the desk, preparing your workspace and being like fully plugged in and tuned in visually as well, because that would have been another clue for me, because I kind of listened to the first 5 minutes of this video and I was just getting the audio, and yeah, if I had actually been watching it as well, I would have seen the kind of slightly glitchy aspect of it, and the fact that the body language was following the same pattern. It was following a kind of da 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 da, and then move on to the next, subject or aspect of the topic that was being unpacked. And actually it would be exactly the same body language, the same formula, if you like. The words are different, but the tone and the inflection was very, very consistent and kind of repeatable throughout. And yeah, we all have unique inflections and ways of expressing, and we all have idiosyncrasies. But yes, when you see the kind of structure that has been input as part of a prompt with the script, with a very tight narrative structure, and the kind of logic of that is kind of at a level of like, this is really polished, this is very organized, this is very like logic heavy. Yeah, those are all kind of indicators that I'm now like, oh yeah, actually, yes, that is indicative of being AI generated. The thing is, the video didn't have an AI tag on it either, which is part of my also like the feeling of like, oh, I feel like I've been tricked here, and that's not a very nice feeling. But yeah, as I say, even to get to the point of, oh, what am I going to choose to watch or listen to? I had already been doing some research this morning, and I decided that YouTube was my platform of choice. And with the search terms that I was putting in, I was already having to kind of go against the barrage of the first lot of results that would come in were all heavily pushed to the front, that were all shorts and kind of viral clips. And then the next wave after that were longer form videos, but all very, clickbait type titles and all structured in the same kind of way. So I watched something else from a creator that I actually follow online and already engage with. And then, yeah, this must have come up underneath as a kind of suggested video. And it did have a kind of attention grabbing title. But as I say, I was multitasking and I was kind of had a split focus. So I was kind of more passively engaging with the interface. And I was like, oh, I'll click on that. And 5 minutes into it, I'm listening and doing things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, following the thread, following the logic. From a fact check point of view, none of the information that was being shared had any kind of cause for concern. There was no things that came up that I kind of thought, well, that's not correct, or that doesn't make sense. It was kind of referring to nutrition protocols, and yeah, it was kind of like structured but generalized advice, but definitely within like the health, well-being, wellness space. When I actually sat down and I kind of had the phone beside me and I was eating my lunch, and then the kind of structure and the formula of it I started to kind of tune into, and I'm like, oh, this is very, very polished. It's very kind of, you know, the way that this person is speaking is like, you know, I want, you know, are they on a teleprompter? Is it scripted? It seems like the precision of it, and there is absolutely no like from a vocal point of view, there was no kind of changes or shifts in the pattern of the breath, or yeah, there was like no thinking time at all. It was as if a script was being read, that level of polished. And then that was when I actually looked at the video and noticed this kind of structure of body language that was following and tracking and going, you know, for like a minute, say, and then it would go back on that same kind of loop. Obviously, the script was still running, the words were changing, the topic sequence was progressing, becoming more in depth, but it was that magic formula, if you like. So yeah, that's when I realized, like, oh, you know, you're kind of starting to kind of get that sort of sensory disconnect with like what you're seeing and what you're listening to. And part of it is about, you know, this is really polished to the point of not really being human, actually, not being not having any idiosyncrasy or any shift, moment to moment shift in pattern that is kind of making you feel like this person is tracking in real time. So yeah, that's always an odd feeling, a kind of congruence and connection feeling. But honestly, for the period of time where I was not watching, looking and tuning in and reading the kind of non-verbal stuff, when I was busying myself doing other things and I had a slightly split focus and therefore was more passive, I was just kind of digesting, consuming, and engaging with that in a way without beginning to question it, which is the part which has made me feel like, okay, I need to be much more mindful about, okay, yes, the time I spend, how I do my research to find primary sources of information, and actually track them into like, oh, somebody has taken this and then they're adapting that information into a kind of more accessible video format. And yeah, to actually maybe sit with the impatience of the process that it takes to actually get from point A to point B, you know, and not be drawn into the convenience of, oh, that's got an attention grabbing title and I'm, you know, slightly distracted, but that's kind of jumped out at me, as it is designed to do, and that's kind of drawn me in. But then I've been doing other things, so I've not really been using that like critical thinking or critical analysis faculty in the same way. So that's a flag for me. But then yeah, the other aspect of this that is maybe slightly more insidious is then that on the channel description, and I am not going to name names here because I want to keep legally everything above board, but the channel description said, informative educational content based on the work of, and it named a specific doctor's name who's actually a living doctor, so somebody that is alive and kicking out there, putting out research, 25 plus years of experience, and who has obviously done lots of work to be very visible, has a whole host of presentations out there, from speaking at seminars and conferences, has their own channel, because I then looked at them up afterwards to verify, is this a real person? They have their own channel with videos of them, the real person, actually speaking. So as to the approach or method that has been used to essentially extract information from that individual and then present it and filter it through this kind of AI generated presentation format where everything is super shiny and bite-sized chunks. Yeah, that is where we're at, and I know we know that that's where we're at, but until we actually directly engage with content like that, or have an experience where we're kind of drawn into that, subconsciously, attention wise, or even just in the moment, we're not fully switched on, and then suddenly we realize, okay, this is actually not the real deal here. This is kind of a taste of things to come, and I think because it's then presenting as, oh, this is Dr. So-and-so talking on this subject based on the works of another credible source doctor, with excellent testimonials and track record and clinical practice and all the rest of that. That has kind of rung alarm bells for me, because it's kind of resting on the association of that title and the immediate sense of security and safety that people would willingly be happy to engage with a presentation or information if they think it comes from a trusted clinical source. And that is really concerning, because for obvious reasons. So I just wanted to share that with you, because it's kind of real-time insight, and yeah, I just wonder if anyone else either in the clinical space, in the fitness, nutrition, in the well-being space, are you seeing this? Are you experiencing it? Do you know anyone who has had their material plagiarized? Yeah, let me know what you think, because yeah, it's kind of left me feeling, as I say, a little bit like, oh yeah, it's giving me the shudders, honestly. Yeah,